Red flag, you meet someone on the internet, they haven't even committed to you in terms of a relationship anyway, and you just decide to fly to a whole different continent to meet him. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Jada here, back with another video. So as you can tell by the title, we are finally, and I mean finally, because I have been waiting to do this video for a hot minute now. I already did a video about 90 Day Fiance. This is their Happily Ever After season 7, I believe. I did it up to, I think, maybe episode 10 or 11. And a lot has transpired since then, but I don't think I'm really going to necessarily talk about every single couple from episode 1 up until the tell-all, because that's a lot of work, okay? So y'all could definitely check that video out. I'll put it in the corner here, and you could hit the little eye at the top. That should take you to the video. But y'all, in that video, I mentioned Usman and Kim. And I pretty much said we were gonna have to make a whole separate video dedicated to them because they are the most all over the place couple. Their toxicity stems all the way from the beginning of their relationship back in the, I think it was the 90 Day Fiance, the regular 90 Day Fiance show. The Happily Ever After and all the rest of these like are just pretty much spin-offs from just 90 Day Fiance. So they met, I believe, in the 90 Day Fiance show. I don't think it was the other way. I don't think they were in the other way. But anyways, correct me if I'm wrong. But I just remember seeing them for the first time, I believe, in the 90 Day Fiance show. And Kim, aka Kim Menzies, okay, I'm gonna say their full government names, Kim Menzies, and then you have Usman Umar, aka Soulja Boy. Not even Soulja Boy, like with an L, no, Soulja, like S-O-J-A boy. Yeah. I guess if he had put the L in it, he might have gotten sued from Soulja Boy in the US. I don't know. But either way, so Kim is from the US, obviously. Okay, she's from California, I believe. And Usman is from Nigeria. Where in Nigeria, I don't remember. But they met each other online. I think Kim had actually started out as a fan of his. Kim is, I don't even know how old she is. I remember mentioning it in my other video, but I forgot how old Kim was, but I think she's either in her 50s or 60s. And she has a grown behind son who I believe is either in his late 20s or early 30s at this point. So he's grown, okay? So Kim has to be at least 50 or 60 years old. So with that being said, she meets Usman, aka Soulja Boy, through his music. She was a fan of his music, and I gotta be honest, I'm trying to figure out what music is there to be a fan of Kimberly, okay? Or Kimbali, like Usman be saying it. What music are we a fan of here? Because are we listening to the same thing? I wouldn't say his music is absolute trash, but it sure as heck ain't good enough to be mainstream. I'm sorry. You know, the whole Afrobeats thing is taking off as of late, but Usman, I don't think is gonna take off. I'm so sorry. You know, locally people know of him, but let's be honest, outside of 90 Day Fiance, who has heard of Soulja Boy? Yeah. So we're just gonna move on from there. She said she was a fan of his music. That's how they met up. They ended up talking. And pretty soon after that, you know, they ended up kind of flirting with each other back and forth. And I guess Kimberly, she just took that as the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm gonna fly out to Nigeria and actually meet him in person because why not? And I was like, okay, red flag, you meet someone on the internet, they haven't even committed to you in terms of a relationship anyway, and you just decide to fly to a whole different continent to meet him. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. But you know, we have seen this very often here on 90 Day Fiance. A lot of people spending thousands of dollars on tickets to go fly to another country to meet said love of their life. Which, you know, ends up being not the case, but yeah. Kim flies over to Nigeria, they meet up, and she brings gifts for this man. She brings him a PS5, amongst other things, and he just keeps giving her the roundabout. She's trying to get them to sleep in the same bed, trying to have sex. I'm like, what is going on here, Kim? Like, you just met this man. You just met this man. Within a week, this woman is trying to sleep with this man. And to be honest, another red flag is the fact that it took so long for them to even sleep together. Just in the same bed, not even having sex, but just to sleep together in the same bed. And I'm just like, you don't find that strange, Kim? Like, you doing all this begging, basically. You're begging this man to show you love, affection, and attention. I don't understand how that's not a red flag for you. You brought all these gifts to kind of woo him, I guess, and it's not really clicking in his brain. Like, he's not ready for this, you know? So from then on, they just keep having arguments, okay? Ever since they met each other in person, and I feel honestly that Usman felt cornered that, you know, let's just be in a relationship before she left to go back to the States. The first time anyway, I feel like he was cornered. He felt pressured to do that. I don't think he necessarily wanted to be in a relationship with Kim. I'm just going to be honest. I think he felt pressured and was like, you know what? She came all this way. Why not? And then on top of that, after the end of that season, we find out that he was actually seeing another woman and talking to her and making songs about her and tried to convince Kimberly, like, oh, this is just a song that I named about this woman that, you know, she's just a random, it's just a random name. I was like, what? And then we find out at the reunion or tell-all, whatever, we find out that this is a woman that he was actually talking to while he was talking to Kimberly, who he was still talking to, really. So he was technically cheating because this was during their relationship. So I just think that's just wild to me. What's crazy too on top of that is during that season, while she was in Nigeria, Kim anyway, she actually went to his music video that he was shooting for that song that he was singing, that he made for the girl that he was seeing behind Kim's back. I'm just like, how are we gonna just move on and pretend like this didn't happen? He made a whole song, wrote a whole song, shot a music video for the song about another woman. Okay, Kim. Okay. From then on, her son, her grown behind son, Jamal, was like, listen, mom, listen, mother, we need to have our come to Jesus moment. You specifically need to have your come to Jesus moment because this man is going to ride you up a wall, okay? And you are getting too old for this. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but in my mind, I was like, that should have been said. You getting too old for this, ish, okay? She just was like, you know what? I want to give him a second chance. So, of course, they end up seeing each other again, making up, woohoo, whatever. So she in the happily ever after season, which is what I'm mainly going to talk about because the craziness escalated in this season, okay? So she basically makes up with Usman. They give their relationship a second try, okay? She forgives him for all his foolery, which is still crazy to me. Forgives him, they move on. She comes back to Nigeria and it is insane from then. During this trip, okay, Kim is trying to basically become Usman's fiance. She is trying to marry this man, walk off into the sunset with him, and take him back to the US with her, okay, to live their fairy tale life, right? So during this trip, like I said, she's trying to get engaged to this man. And in order to get engaged, he needs the blessing from his mom and also his brother, his eldest brother, right? And I guess they kind of make the decisions for the family. And Usman, I'm not sure if I said this before, I might have in that other video with regards to the happily ever after season. Usman was actually married before to yet another older, much older woman, Lisa. Yeah. So Lisa came over to Nigeria as well to try and get his, Usman's mother on board with them getting engaged and getting married before she went back to the US. For some strange reason, his mom in that moment was like, okay, cool. Even though she obviously can't have kids and she wanted grandkids. Yeah, but anyways, she said yeah, she agreed to it because I think they were going to try and adopt or something like that. But anyways, either way, that relationship and marriage did not work out because according to Lisa, Usman was cheating on her all the time. But I mean, to be honest, it's a younger man. He's in his 30s, you're in your 50s, 60s. Yeah, you're going to get cheated on. I'm sorry to say that, but it's obvious, okay? You're probably going to get cheated on. I know that sounded really savage. I'm sorry that that came out so mean, but I'm just being honest here. But anyways, they get divorced, and then a couple years later he meets up with Kim, right? pretty much the start of what I was saying. So because of this failed marriage that Usman had entered into, I'm pretty sure that had put a bad taste in his mother's mouth about him marrying yet another woman, okay, that is at least 20 or 30 years his senior. Yeah. So obviously I was going to take his mom's side. I already think this relationship is doomed. For y'all to even think about getting married is kind of silly to me. I don't understand how you could do this a second time with another woman that, like I said, is 20 or 30 years your senior. You're doing this again and you think your mom is going to be just friendly with the idea of y'all getting married? How dumb are you? What? And obviously from the looks of it, his family is very traditional, very steeped in tradition. The fact that she even said yes to his first marriage to Lisa is still crazy to me, mind-boggling, but she did. But the second time, like, you asking for too much. So she was like, listen, nah. The answer is no. The first time she went over there, Kim, she went over to see the mom. The mom was like, yeah, no, this is not happening. I'm not giving my blessing. That's just it. And she walks away. Like, that meeting went terribly. And then also Kim had bought, like, I think a calf or a cow to basically give to the mom as a present, similar to what Lisa did. But this time around, like I said, I think that divorce had put a bad taste in the family's mouth. And the family did not care for that. One of the brothers even insinuated that Kim was trying to bribe the mom into letting her get engaged to Usman. And I was like, ooh, child. I mean, it kind of is if you think about it, but anyways, we're gonna just keep going. That meeting did not go well, but I don't think they was expecting it to go as bad as it did. It was an absolute train wreck, okay? The fact that the mom just walked off is wild to me. But yeah, she was just so fed up with Usman's antics, I'm sure. Like, she was just like, listen, just find a girl in your country. Honestly, that's how I feel about it. Find someone your age, please, Usman. Please. Find someone your age that you could have kids with. Give your mom the grandkids that she's been asking for, and then she'll leave you alone. Why do you keep going after these old women? But anyways, moving on. So they didn't expect it to be a train wreck, but it was, okay. Kim even started crying, trying to defend herself, saying that it wasn't a bribe. I'm not trying to bribe anyone. I'm like, girl, just let it go. It's not that serious. Move on. I understand why she was emotional, but it was like, you taking this way too much to heart. It was like, this relationship ain't even been going on for that long. But anyways, moving on. So they talk about it. They try to discuss, you know, the next game plan, what they could do to basically talk to his mom again and convince her to get on board with the whole marriage situation. Oh, that conversation went to hell, child. Kim was getting mad. Usman was getting mad. He was saying things like, you know, I'm making the sacrifices here. I can't even have kids with you. I'm always making the sacrifice. I make more sacrifices than you do, and blah, 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 right? It's like, you know, I actually have a whole lot of women that are trying to get after me, younger women. And it was like, why would you say that? Like, he was almost saving that for a rainy day. He put it in his back pocket just so he could save it for the right moment to hurt her feelings. Because it was just like, why would you even be with her then? Why are you with her, sir? Again, it goes back to what I say. I felt like in the beginning of their relationship, period, you cannot convince me otherwise. I feel like Usman just felt, because she came all the way there to Nigeria to see him and support him, so-called, he felt pressured to actually, like, basically be in a relationship with her. I feel like he was cornered into it. Like, he honestly probably felt as though, okay, I kind of have to. Like, she did all this for me. I kind of have to be in a relationship with her. Like, I could give her that much, you know? So anyways, Kim basically walks off. She's pissed, okay? And then they kind of make up, I guess. And then they have another meetup with his brother, I think. They're trying to tell Usman, like, your mom is not going to say yes to this unless you get married to someone first. You'd have to get married more than likely to a woman that lives here or is from here. And then after that, you could marry Kimberly, okay? And Kim was not having no parts of that. But what's crazy too is that I think it was in the last season when they started talking about this. Kim was actually the one that brought up the whole idea to Usman to say, oh, you could have a second wife because I can't have kids and I know you want to have kids. And I mentioned this in my other video. It was like, Kim, how could you get mad at this man about bringing up what you already said you were okay with? But now all of a sudden you realize that it could actually become real and actually be your reality, that you might be a sister wife. You're getting angry at Usman. It's wild. And then on top of that, she's saying that she can't live in the same city as us, probably not even the same country. Like, no. Like, you're gonna have to just take a trip to go see your kids every time you want to go see them. We can't live in the same house, nothing. And I'm like, Kim, how do you think this is gonna work? I mean, he needs to see his kids, you know? So I just think that was just so silly to me. I think she was just trying her hardest to make herself seem like the better option compared to the other younger women that he could probably be with. And it was just like, sis, you're doing too much. To suggest things that you know you aren't okay with, I just think that's dumb. I'm sorry, it's just dumb. It's never a good thing to be compromising so much in a relationship. Like, if you have to compromise yourself and what you want in a relationship that much, it is not worth it. Like I said, that was another red flag. The compromising, it was so much compromising. And then on top of that, Usman, he kept gaslighting her, saying things like what he said in that argument, like, oh, I have so many women to choose from, I'm making a huge sacrifice just being with you. And it's just like, she ain't making sacrifices too? Like, she's spending thousands of dollars to come see you, and on top of that, she's suggesting that you even have a sister wife when she knows she ain't okay with that. Anyways, so the whole sister wife conversation comes back into play in the happily ever after season. And Kimberly is even more upset, talking to more people about it. Like Usman's friend, for example, they went to dinner with him and he's just bringing up the fact that it's a part of their culture to have more than one wife and take another wife, right? And I have seen that, okay, obviously, especially in the Muslim faith, it is kind of normal for you to have more than one wife. I get it. I personally feel like he uses it as a weapon to kind of get Kimberly on board with doing certain things that she knows she's not okay with. And whenever her friends and family would even ask her about it, like, why are you doing this? You know you're not interested in being a sister wife. She'd be like, well, that's a part of his culture. And it's just like, I know you're not this slow, Kim. I know you're not this slow. You are too old to be falling for these games, okay? I'm sorry I keep talking about her age, but it's just like, sis, come on. Get on track. Like, I'm gonna need you to get some smarts and stop falling for these tricks, okay? But anyway, she gets mad. She throws a drink at Usman while she's having a conversation with his friend about the whole sister wife thing. Obviously, that's super disrespectful. And then on top of that, to do that in front of his friend, you're definitely making yourself look bad, for sure. But again, they end up finding some way to reconcile, okay? Why? I don't know. But they get back on track. And then shortly after that, his mom basically sets up a somewhat meeting, I guess, or a date, depending on whatever you want to consider it. But he meets a woman from, I believe, his tribe or something. I don't know, but definitely within the area that he lives in. And his mom had basically set it up because I think she knew her mom or something like that. And, you know, I guess she thought she was a nice girl and was like, hey, you should meet up with this person. And this is while Kim is visiting. It's so awkward. It was literally right after Kim had proposed to Usman. This is honest to God why I tell women every chance I get, do not propose to men. I understand you want to feel empowered. I understand the whole female empowerment thing, but do not, and I mean do not, propose to a man ever in your life. Because if you have to do the proposing, it shows so many red flags about your relationship currently and what problems you're going to face if you guys go ahead and get married. I'm telling you, if guys are not ready to commit to you, it is not going to work. If he is not the one to propose to you, I'm telling you flat out, it is not going to work. I'm so sorry. Just based on how men operate, I could tell you so many reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but there's so many reasons why it is not going to work out. So that was another red flag out of the thousands, okay? She proposed to him, he accepts, and then the day after that, he goes and meets this girl that his mom is trying to set him up with. Yeah, so Kim didn't like that. And he's just asking her like, do I look good? Do I look good? And it's just like, why do I care if you look good for this date right now? This is basically a date with another woman. Why would I care? And this is right after I proposed to you? Like, Why would I care what you look like? Anyways, yeah, so he goes and meets this girl, gets her number. I don't know if he ever even chatted with her, but he probably did. Let's be honest, he probably did. So eventually, he proposes to Kim, and this is right before she leaves, okay, to go back to America for the second time. And now they're trying to basically figure out how they are going to work the whole visa thing, because they end up finding out that with the visa, obviously, because they're now living in the US, based on US law, you cannot be in a polygamous marriage. You cannot marry more than one woman. You could sweetheart, you know, like we say in the Bahamas here, you could sweetheart and cheat, you know, but in terms of you actually lawfully marrying more than one woman, that's not happening in the US. So it is what it is, right? So now they're trying to work around that. He now can't take a second wife if he's going to be living with Kim in the US. He's considering basically adopting his brother's son. Yes, he basically gave Kimberly the idea that we're going to adopt my brother's son, his nephew, as his own and take him to the US to so-called have a better life. What is even crazier about this whole situation is that Kimberly is actually thinking about this, right? She's really considering adopting his nephew as their child, taking him to the US to live with them and raise him as their child. Again, he uses his religion and culture and basically says, this is my culture, we do this like all the time. We're always adopting our siblings' kids. And Kim is just like, do you really? You know, like, do you really? Like, she's actually starting to question, like, is it really a part of your culture? Is this really normal, you know? So because Kim is actually considering really adopting this child, she goes back to Nigeria with her son, Jamal. Because, of course, Jamal has never met Usman in person up to this point in their relationship. So he comes over, and first thing that Usman does is give Jamal a gift. He gives him a PS5 and says, I don't really expect nothing except respect. And it's just like, how could you expect respect when you guys are almost the same age? You are only a couple years older than Jamal. Like, what? Anyways, so yeah, that was wild. The fact that you are only a couple years older than your soon-to-be stepchild and you just expect respect. It's wild to me. But I understood where he was coming from, but it was just like, Usman, you just now met this person. And on top of that, because Jamal was there when he found out that Usman was kind of cheating on his mom, I mean, it kind of already put a bad taste in his mouth towards Usman, let's be honest. So in terms of the respect factor, it is a little bit shaky, but we're gonna move on. So far, so good in the trip, right? But then we move on to the whole adoption thing. We're really trying to take this whole adoption thing serious, right? And Usman didn't even tell his brother, did not even have a discussion, did not even bring up the topic to his brother, the father of this child he's trying to adopt. He did not even bring up to the parents, I'm trying to adopt your child. I'm trying to adopt your son and take him back to the US with me and my soon-to-be wife. How do you not have that discussion? And he says this while Kim, Jamal, and his friends are out to some type of sporting event or something like that. They're basically drinking their drinks and casually Usman just says, oh, I haven't even spoke to them about it. What? Child, I'm just gonna leave that there. He had not even spoken to his brother about it. So when Kimberly and Usman go to his brother and his wife to discuss the whole possible adoption of his nephew, his brother is shocked because Usman, again, like I said, never even spoke to him about it. And they're just sitting there like, okay. Genuinely trying to process what he just said and what he proposed. And his brother is having issues with it, obviously, because when it comes to the whole culture thing, it is going to be very much so different being raised by, obviously, a woman that's American, doesn't really know much about the culture or religion that they practice. And on top of that, it's in a whole different country. Yeah, I can understand why you as a parent would be like, yeah, I'm not too sold on this idea. So that ends up kind of going to hell a little bit in the handbasket. So shortly after that, Jamal leaves, and now basically it's just Kim and Usman again. And they end up getting into this huge fight yet again. Usman just takes it upon himself to just drive away. And it was pretty much like an argument that just started out of nowhere. Apparently, based on what Kim said, she was just trying to help him, I guess, fix things in a suitcase and put things up or clean things. I don't know. But anyways, basically she felt like she was being chastised and that she couldn't do anything right, blah, blah, blah. But in Usman's mind, he was just joking around. He just said something that he thought was funny, but she took it to heart and it wasn't funny in her mind. So it escalated from there, and Usman drives away, leaving Kim at the hotel. And he's just like, yeah, I think we're done. We're done. So they actually did break up. We get to see them at the tell-all. At least in the first episode, that's all I've seen so far. They really did actually break up. And in my mind, I was like, thank God. But unfortunately, they are still conversing with each other. They're still texting, talking to each other. And it's just like, the fact that you, again, Kim, you have to do so much. So much. I mean, don't get me wrong, both sides I think was kind of compromising because of the whole situation that they found themselves in. But I do feel like both of them equally were sacrificing things for each other. So the fact that it was more of like a battle of who's sacrificing more for the other person, it's too much. Like, it's toxic at that point. Let it go. Let it go, sis. Like, the entire time, the entire season, I was like, let it go. Let it go. The relationship is not worth it. And I think Usman was unfortunately the first person to realize that, and I wish it was Kim. But the fact that Usman at the very least was like, yeah, this is toxic. I can't do this no more. They both decided to let it go. And I was like, thank God, because this was not going to work. This was going to be a continuous, contentious, uphill battle the entire time you guys are going to be together and even married. Trust me. I say all this to say, I personally feel like they were probably the most toxic couple on the show, besides Ed and I forgot, Liz? I think Liz is her name. Yeah, Ed and Liz. They're another couple that we're gonna have to discuss because I feel like Ed is just a hot mess as well. But oh, child, that's another video for another day. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about this breakdown of Kim and Usman's relationship leading up to, of course, the tell-all of the Happily Ever After series. But y'all let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.